Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another episode of the Bama Standard. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on all notifications. Jump in the chat. We're ready for you. We are brought to you, as always, by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. I'm your host, Justin Riley, and with me, as always, is a living legend, all SEC linebacker, Mr. Marvin Constant, and senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, who's trying to steal Marvin's vacation spots, Stephen M. Smith.
Hey, Stephen is welcome to go with me on vacation anytime he likes. Anytime.
I appreciate that, man.
I just hope you're up for some fast-paced action. That's it. It's going to be fast-paced, so you better be ready for that.
He may have to sign a waiver before he heads over there with you for his protection from both his wife and any international incidents.
Well, see, here's the thing. I wouldn't even take him on vacation without his wife.
Okay, there you go.
Because I'm not going without mine. So
that's what's up. Welcome
I've
in,
learned
fellas.
my lesson.
What happened to cause you to learn that lesson, Marvin? We got some time before Jamar arrives.
Oh, I mean from watching other people. I didn't do anything.
Okay. From watching other people.
No, from other people. I've always been smart enough to know better. Learn from the mistakes that others make so that you don't fall in that same trap. So, yeah.
Well said. Well, listen, guys, I don't know of any team that's having a hotter summer recruiting-wise than Alabama. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen M. Smith for the depth chart to update all the Bama fans as to what's going on. It's been a crazy, past couple of weeks, but over the weekend, we have some major news. Stephen, I'm going to let you go ahead and update the folks and tell us what's going on.
Well, the months of June and July, Justin, have been huge in recruiting for Alabama. They've been on an absolute tear. Nick Saban and the staff are basically getting in the truck and telling everybody to jump in this truck right now. When you talk about Caleb Downs, the number one safety in the class, committed. You look at Tony Mitchell committed, Brayson Hugh Hubbard committed, Jaleel Hurley committed, guys like Olis Anganine committed, Raquez McElderry committed. You just picked up a commitment from Hunter Osborne, 4-star defensive lineman from Hewitt-Trussville. You just flipped a tight end from Ohio State that just committed here. Ty Lockwood has just given his commitment. So it's crazy how these last 2 months Bama has just been rolling. And what's unreal is they're not done. You look at this month, there's some meat still left on this bone when you talk about 4-star offensive lineman Miles McVay is still out there. You've got 5-star defensive lineman James Smith and his teammate, last name Russo, from Carver High School in Montgomery. They're still out there. Carmani McClain, the number one defensive back in the whole class, still on the board. Makai Vickers, a high 4-star, he's still out there. So there's a ton of meat here still left on this bone in terms of recruiting. But as of today, according to various sites, Bama's got the number one class, and it's crazy. Going back to May, they were hovering at about ranked number 40, and now they got the number one class. So Coach Saban's like, you ain't putting me away just yet.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's lost a step at all, even though it looks like the media pundits and fans across the nation are literally trying to wheel him into the great hereafter. And that look like he's lost a step. But of the recent recruits, who's impressed you the most? How excited are you about Hunter Osborne? Because I think a lot of Bama fans have been really concerned because we missed out on Peter Woods a couple months ago. How good can Osborne be?
Osborne has huge potential. I'll say this. If he can get more dangerous as a pass rusher, he could be the next Jonathan Allen. There's big potential there for him. And I know that's high praise there, but if he can clean up the pass rush ability, he's got pass rush ability. But if he can clean it up to where the steps are quicker, the moves are there, different moves. He's got a swim move, a little bit of a club move. If he can add a rip move in there, just get some more moves to his game, he could be really, really special. He moves well in space. He's got the feet. He can stop the run. Just got to clean the pass rush moves. But I know when Alabama lost out on Justice Finkley from Hewitt-Trussville High School, he went to Texas. in the previous recruiting class prior to this one, people were like, oh my goodness, you lost out on Justice Finkley. But Hunter Osborne, to me, is a bit better than what Finkley was. So if he could just clean up a few areas of that game, it's going to be good there for Osborne. But a name to look out for, Justin, as we continue in recruiting, is Keon Keeley. Keeley, a defensive end, I think he's next to commit. Notre Dame has been high on him, but Caleb Downs, Justice Haynes, several of these guys are trying to flip Keon Keeley from Notre Dame to Bama.
What's one of the most amazing aspects of this recruiting class is how everybody is literally recruiting each other, especially Tony Mitchell. He's one of the head guys in that department. Go ahead and cut him a check along with Justice Haynes. And they are just doing their best to rein in these guys. Marvin, is that something you guys did when you were trying to get round up that incredible 98 class?
Nah, because we didn't have each other's phone numbers or social media to contact each other. We all just showed up and did what we did, collectively. It was really the coaches who did all the work. They brought the class together, because, again, we didn't see each other except on official visits, and we didn't all take the same official visits. So, we didn't know who all was who until we reported.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there was no little grapevine or network that y'all used to kind of lure each other in. So there was a general want to as far as getting those guys there, which is completely different from today. What's that, Stephen?
With Marvin's group, it was show up. We'll see you when we see you there, and if you're ready to hit, you're gonna hit. If you're not, we're gonna find out quick.
Real quick, because I tested everybody's metal very, very quickly from day one. Whether you're a freshman, senior, sophomore, I didn't care. Hey, let's see what you're made of, and you're made of.
and apparently Marvin also tested the mental of the coaches. He wanted to see Dubose what you made of, Ellis Johnson what you made of, this coach what you made of.
No. It's my coach's metal. The offensive coaches, Neil Callaway, Ivy Williams, Coach Stubbs, all those guys, they stayed pissed. Because, a lot of times, it's like they trying to run a play, and I wouldn't let them run the play. And let us get the playoff. Hey, man, listen. You want to get the playoff, you might want to tell those guys to block me. Now, if they don't block me, that's not my problem. But in most cases, they couldn't block me. So I would always be over there laughing. Listen, man, I'm not just going to let you get a playoff. Okay, I'm not built like that. So, Coach Callaway, he would stay pissed.
That actually plays into a question that I have for you. And I know you've told this many times when we've been on other networks. But one of those folks that you tested was Chris Samuels. For our new audience, we average around 1,500 to 2,000 viewers now. I'm sure a lot of the people here haven't heard that story, but man, please tell that story.
Well, you've had the pleasure of hearing Chris tell it himself. So,
yes.
So, I was just, young, true freshman, doing what I do. Again, I didn't discriminate. I didn't care if you were senior, All-American, or whatever. I issued the same bullets out to everybody. You can get it, you can get it, and you can get it. So one day in particular, Chris Samuels happened to be, hey, I got to run the blitz, and guys coming your way. It's nothing personal. Oh, my God. I hit Chris. Chris literally went up in the air, turned a half flip, landed on his back. I mean, flat back. He jumped up. Oh, hell no. Repeat it. Now you want to repeat it now. When the play was live, I gave you everything I was supposed to give you. And then you want to repeat. I was sitting over there dying laughing. And then, when Chris tells the story, he talks about how the next day the meeting, Coach Callaway just keeps rewinding it back. Play it, rewind it back. Play it, rewind. Like, really? Like, this is you, number 3 overall pick, soon to be All-American, All-World? And he just kept rewinding it back. He was so embarrassed in the meeting, like, man. But I didn't discriminate, man. And, you'd hear Dubose, stay off of Sean. Hey, man, you want me to stay off Sean's ass, you better get him out of here. Because as long as that ball is in his hands, or if he has to block me, he gonna get them same bullets I gave everybody else.
Now, how quickly did that Sean Alexander rule disappear after he graduated? Because I don't think that
What do you mean
that
after?
rule was. What do you mean after?
Well, I'll tell you, man. The spring my freshman year, it got so bad. Dubose just like Sean just don't practice, and he held Sean out of practice because he wanted to keep Sean healthy, and he knew.
Right.
I wouldn't. You put him out there, his ass gonna get the same thing everybody else getting. I didn't care. So, it got to the point where he didn't even really practice that spring of 99 because between myself and Cornelius Griffin, we weren't given no shortcuts. So, hey, you got the ball. Hey, homeboy, you're going to get the same everybody else would get.
The reason I bring that up is because I was actually at spring practice in 2000 after Sean left. And Ivy Williams was sitting there cussing every running back out and saying he didn't want another GD Sean Alexander. I mean, he was letting Brandon Myree and Ahmad and Santonio have it.
Yeah, because Sean, he would slide, take the knee, because he knew we wasn't playing with him. Like, hey, listen, homeboy, we didn't care. Listen, man, we here to do a job. I don't care if you're Sean Alexander. I don't care if you're Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith. You got that ball, you were going to feel the wrath of me. There was no discriminating.
That's what's up. But speaking of controversial topics, as we wait Jamar to come in, Marvin, we hadn't done your constant chaos in quite some time. What are your thoughts on the differential treatment between Calvin Ridley and now Deshaun Watson? Ridley was suspended for an entire year just for making a couple of side bets, whereas Deshaun Watson, his crimes were a little bit worse, and that's putting it lightly. And he's only going to be missing 4 to 6 games. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know what Deshaun did. I was not there. I cannot speak to his guilt or his innocence. I don't know what Calvin did. I was not there. I cannot speak to his guilt or his innocence. I ain't touching this, Justin. You're not going to drag me in this hole.
Oh, I ain't talking about causing controversy. I'm just saying that if I feel like, based on what they're assuming either one of them did.
Okay. Now, under the assumption that both are truly guilty of the acts which they are accused of, I think those punishments probably need to be reversed. They should probably swap punishments. I get it. The betting on games, you want to preserve the integrity of the game in the sense that you don't want fans assuming that players are betting on games and that games are being rigged, that they're being fixed. This whole Pete Rose thing. You don't right. want that problem in the NFL. So, I get it. You want to preserve the integrity of the game, but at the same time, if Deshaun Watson truly is guilty of what he's accused of, if he is, then there should definitely be a harsher punishment for that. Because at the end of the day, if that's the type of massages he wants, he should take a flight, go to Thailand, he can go to Colombia, Cartagena. There's plenty of places that will accommodate whatever freakiness he's into, and he's got the money to go. Okay? Now,
are those some of the vacation destinations you've been to?
Hey, man, don't worry. We're not talking about where I've been and what I've done, okay? We're talking about the show, okay? I can tell you there are plenty of places that will accommodate the freakiness that he's into, okay? You just got to take a flight. Delta offers nonstop flights to most of these places. Some of them you might have to jump on Qatar or a few other airlines along, but you can get there with relative ease if you got the money without a bunch of layovers. So for whatever freakiness he's into, he just got to get on a plane. They said from now on he has to, team approved massage therapist. Deshaun, don't take that damn bait. Get your ass on the flight. Go to Thailand. Go to Singapore. Go to Rio. Go to Cartagena. You can even go to Panama. There's plenty of places that will accommodate you, sir. Now, whether or not I'm talking from experience, that's a moot point, okay? Right now, we're talking about the show, all right?
Because he's saved now. Is that why they tore down Tutwiler? Because of all the adventures that you had while you were there?
Nope, I didn't have any
Oh
adventures in
man.
Tutwiler. So,
No, okay, gotcha.
I never went into Tutwiler when I was in under.
Okay.
But I've taken a lot of flights to a lot of countries, and again, Sean, take my advice. If you need somebody to tell you more about these places, you can shoot me a DM. I got some contacts in these places that I'd be happy to hook you up with. They can get you everything you need when you get there. And again, nobody's gonna tell on you. You won't have to worry about no lawsuits, no nothing. Okay? You know,
Marvin,
you
you
give
got an
them $20,
established
$30, you done paid them for the month. Okay?
Marvin, do you have an establishment down there like P Valley? Is that what you're saying?
I know a few places.
You know a few places, and you're a guy.
I know a
But
few
man, even
places, and I'm just gonna leave it.
but as crazy, guys, as the conversation of Calvin and Deshaun, we have a thought here from Crimson Forever about Rolando McClain, and
Yes.
just the continuation of such a great talent at Alabama during his time in Tuscaloosa, but
Time out.
life at
What has he done now?
more.
He was caught
weed,
with weapons
tobacco,
and weed in his car.
again.
When?
Monday. Yesterday.
Sunday,
Oh, Sunday, yeah.
Where at? Where?
Moulton, Alabama.
All right, Rolando McClain, my younger brother / linebacker. I got some places you can go if you want to carry weed and guns too.
He's got more places, guys.
Right. I got some people where you can go and you can go do this, and nobody's gonna bother you, sir. Just shoot me a DM. I hook you up with my people, you know. Hey, I got people now. I'm telling you.
Hold on. Is Marvin in the Troublemakers Protection Program? Is that what this is?
I'm not in the Troublemakers Protection Program, but at the same time, enough to enjoy a lot of adventures in life, man. I kid you not. So, you know, I go on this one adventure, man, and me and my guy, we go to meet some of my other guys. We get there kind of late, right? So it's pitch black. All we know is we get off at the airport. The driver picks us up. We drive for about 45 minutes, and then we turn onto this dirt road. We're on this dirt road for about 15 minutes. We get to the first gate, like the cattle gate. It's got a lock on it. They unlock the gate. They let us in. We drive another 5 to 10 minutes, and it's another cattle gate with a lock on it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, where the hell are we at?
I think I've seen that movie.
We're in Mexico, right? So I'm not going to tell you where, but we're in Mexico, right? So we get out the car. We go in the house. It's pitch black. We can't see anything. We go in the house. And the guy, once we get in the house, we're talking, we're having drinks. And the guy says, "Did you see the tigers?" And we're like, "Tigers? What damn tigers?"
Tigers.
They take us back outside with flashlights. Right where the driver dropped us off at, it's this huge cage with a Bengal tiger in it and a white tiger. If you follow me on Instagram, you actually see the video when we go out there, and you can feel the ground shaking when these tigers are walking. He also had a bear out there. He had he had all kind of wild animals. So, you know, the next day, you know, the sun comes up and we realize the extent of where we are. And the thought that's going through my mind is, we're at a drug cartel plantation. like I'm praying to God that I survived at this point, right? I'm like, because, you know, we're like one of the few people that speak English, you know. We're in the middle of nowhere. They got all these.
Wait a minute.
And the
Wait a minute. Is this the Bama Standard or is this Goodfellas? What is this?
It sounds like that and The Hangover.
No, and the house we stay in this guy's house too now. The house has like 20-some bedrooms in it. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the picture of me standing beside this liger that he killed. That's probably 4 times. I mean, it's on my IG now. And you'll see the videos from these tigers and all these animals. And I was like, oh my God. Needless to say, I survived. I made it home. I cussed my homeboy out when we got out of there. I said, man, how did you have me at a drug cartel plantation in damn Mexico, and you don't tell me this. I'm like, this is some need to know information. You don't just take someone to a kingpin drug cartel boss's house and not tell him where they're going. And if you think of playing, you can go on my IG. You will see the videos of them Tigers, the Bears. You'll see me standing beside that lot. You'll see it all on my. I kid you not. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. Yeah, I was just happy to get out there, man.
Sound like you're about to be on a next episode of 2020 or Dateline or something like that.
Well,
24 hours
if
Rolando, man. What the world?
If Rolando wants to go with drugs and guns, I got a place for him to go. Because, me and the boss, we actually got kind of tight. I got his info. We actually talk from time to time. I know, that's weird, right? So who knows a cartel boss and actually communicates with them?
Only you.
So Marvin,
he'll be our next
Marvin,
guest.
So what you're saying, Marvin, is knowing that next shipment of Colombiana cocaine coming in.
No, my friend. Nah, I just know when I want to go on a great adventure. He said, hey, whenever you want to come back, you need something to do. And he actually knows other people in Mexico and in South America. So he's hooked me up with some other people when I'm on my adventures, because like one time I was off in the Panamanian jungle. That's a whole nother story. Oh my God. Yeah. And all this is on my IG. People think I'm telling the story. If you follow me on Instagram,
and
you'll
now
see all
TDA because
crap.
we're live.
Lord, man.
Hey, man,
Real
I just
quick.
been having fun, man. Come on.
You living your best life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Real quick, shout out to Randy Harris and Jamie Wilhelm for the 2 super chats. Thank you, guys. We appreciate that. That's going to fund Marvin's next cartel expedition.
Hey, man, I'm not taking another cartel expedition, okay? But like when I went to Cabo and I needed to rent a boat, he knew who to call for me. When I wanted to go forward with him, he knew who to call for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool to know people that know people.
I hear you, man. It's amazing how we went from being the hottest recruiting team in the country to Tales from the Cartel, as this gentleman just put it.
But
how do we rebound, Stephen M? How do we rebound from this?
Well, here's the thing, though, Justin. Here's the thing. Kids who play football, I'll tell you this. Playing sports will open so many doors for you in life. Some of those doors are going to be a lot more adventurous than others. Some of those doors are going to have question marks on them. You don't know what the hell is going to happen, but you're going to walk through it and say, hey, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, Justin, I feel like the best way to segue to this, prior to getting Jamar on, is Fall Camp is Thursday. And,
yes.
Fall Camp is Thursday. The players report tomorrow. First day of camp is Thursday. And there's just a lot of buzz about this year in camp for various positions. The entire quarterback room, not just Bryce Young, the entire linebacker room, outside and inside, the entire running back room. Hopefully, Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams can show what they are post-injury. Just a lot of excitement everywhere when you look at this team.
Show me on September the 3rd and September the 10th. Show me then,
Okay.
I'm not easily impressed with camp performances because every year there are several teams that look like they're all-world teams in camp until they go out there week 1 or week 2 and get their ass handed to them by whoever they're playing. Every year there's a team ranked in the top 5 that gets beat down and destroyed within week 1, week 2. Don't tell me about how good you are in camp. Tell me about how good you are when it counts.
Okay, so not necessarily week 1, but week 2 against Texas, yeah.
Well, all of the above. I mean, I'm just saying.
Listen,
man,
Utah State is no slouch,
I always
man.
tell people.
They're not. I know they're not.
Who?
Utah State.
Let's tell people though, you can have all the stars in the world beside your name, but if it doesn't translate to the field, then man, and we always see it. There's always guys. I mean, look at Ben Davis, 5-star. He performed like a 1-star, right? I mean, there's always going to be guys that have all these stars by their name, and once they get on that field, it's not going to go the way everyone thinks it should go, And Stephen A. Smith, you were guilty, because you were the Ben Davis fan club administrator, president, leader.
Had action figures, posters.
That he was finally ready. And when it came time, we still ain't seen him being touch the field. Well, we went on the field one time and got shook by a quarterback, and it was like, come on, man.
Okay. He did record 1 sack in his career if it means anything. But the good thing for Ben is is in the
you
CFL.
Are a 5-star.
He fell on
you
somebody.
Couldn't even get enough sacks to match the number of stars. 7 years of playing. So he's averaging 0.17 sacks per season.
Math don't add up,
right?
Sir.
He's averaging 0.17 sacks per season for his career.
So what would you say is the biggest? What doesn't add up? What doesn't translate? These guys are coming with these great rankings. Where do they fall short and not able to translate that to the next level? Based on
a lot of it is work ethic. A lot of them don't understand the level of work it takes between high school and college to take that next step. To me, that is the biggest factor besides the competition levels, because a lot of these guys are playing, 4A, 3A schools, some might be 5A, but even in a 5A or 6A system, that doesn't necessarily mean competition. So when you take them out of that small pond that they're in and you put them in the big pond, which is Alabama football, and you say, hey, now let us see that same greatness, it's more difficult for that greatness to translate when you're playing against someone else who's equally, if not better prepared than you. You understand?
Yeah.
So you take these 4 and 5 stars and you put them out there against another 4 and 5 star who's a true 5-star who's put in that work. It's going to look like a pit bull on a chihuahua. It's going to get ugly fast, man. I've seen it happen time and time again.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've actually been thinking about here as of late. Does this generation truly understand what it means to commit to a school? Aside from posting something on Twitter, posting something on Instagram, the thing to do. Do they really understand what's all involved in that process? All those things you just mentioned. Because I feel like this generation doesn't fully grasp that.
This generation, I don't see many of them making it if they played in the 80s or the 90s or even the early 2000s. I don't see many of them making it because it was a different ball game back then. You got to realize something, man. We didn't have all these regulations to save us like they do. We did 3 a days. Now they got 2 a days. One day you're going to practice, one practice next day. Man, listen, it was survival of the fittest. So I don't see many of them even making it through practice, let alone, producing at a high level. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm just saying it was a different work ethic when we came out. Because, again, we didn't have the NCAA protecting us with all these rules and regulations. It was get it how you live when we came out. So, and again, if you're not going to prepare physically and mentally to play at Alabama, you will never succeed. Never. You can't have one without the other. You have to have both.
Yeah, without a doubt. So what was your mindset at this point going into the 99 season? What were your thoughts? And what can you give us
kill
a crazy
everything
story?
that moves? What you mean? Kill. That was my mind. That has been my mindset since I was 6 years old, man.
That's his
Kill
mindset this morning.
everything that moves. I kid you not, man. That's been my mindset since I was a kid, since I first started playing football. You got to understand, like, my older brother is 4 years older than me, and I begged my mom to let me play with him, and my mom worked at the hospital, so she got me a fake birth certificate. So at 6, I'm on a 9 to 10-year-old football team starting at middle linebacker, laying wood. I'm talking about dropping folks at 6 on a 9 to 10-year-old football team. So, it's always been my mentality, like, who's next? Whether teammates are on the
Hold
field,
on.
in the game.
Hold on. So the coaching staff couldn't tell you a 6?
They didn't care. I was the best player on defense. I mean, I didn't have any fear. You know what I'm saying? No fear. And I just loved playing football. So I could walk out there and line up against anybody. And that was the mentality I took from an early age all the way through high school and college. You got to understand something. My freshman year of high school, I'm going into spring practice with the mighty Central Tuscaloosa. If you're familiar with high school football in the state of Alabama, Central was that deal. We had all these linebackers, Marquinch Wise, who went to Sanford. We had Antonio Williams, the Gatorade National Player of the Year. We had some very high-profile, big dudes, on this team. I walked in there as a freshman and no fear. I took a senior's job, started as a sophomore, and I knocked down everything they put in front of me. Them same dudes who were considered to be the best linebackers in the country, I gave their ass that work every day as a sophomore in high school. Mm-hmm. Never backed down, never flinched, never ran from the challenge. So for me, that, hey, you got to be prepared. But I also prepared myself because in the 9th grade, I was benching 325, squatting 500 pounds. So, that's a helpful tool to have in your pocket, So because I prepared myself starting in the 7th and 8th grade so that by the time I got to the 9th grade, I was, ready to go kill everything that lined up in front of me. So I know most 9th graders don't bench 325 and squat 500 pounds. No. That's great. But that's because I prepared myself.
Absolutely.
And I went in there and I mixed it up with them seniors and I laid lumber to them. Again.
Tat Lawson says, don't forget about those Ed Reed Notre Dame box years at Central.
Oh, yeah. Coach Reed, man, my cousin played for Coach Reed, DeAnthony Hall. He ended up going to Arkansas. Him, I got Dennis Riddle, Freddie May, all those guys, Lonzel Gowdy. Hey, man, listen, them boys paved the way for us, man. That was one of the things that I got to watch in middle school was these guys set that standard. They hit a championship game in 90, I think, and they ended up losing it all. They didn't win it. So, by the time I get to high school, we win it all in 95. But I had the pleasure of watching all these guys put that work in to see what it took to be successful. So by the time I got there, and again, ouch, man, whatever you want to give me, I'm taking it. Let's go.
Jimmy Wilhelm's question is, are you guys more concerned about the defensive line or offensive line, and why?
Defensive line, because here's why.
I agree.
Defense wins championships. Mm-hmm. Georgia showed you that this past year. Alabama has showed you that year in and year out for the past decade, okay? If you can't stop someone, doesn't matter how many points you score on offense. The days of having Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian on our sideline, that's gone. So we aren't scoring points like that anymore. So what do we need to do to stay in games now? Stop people. And for this, you can't get pressure and you can't maintain the line of scrimmage. We're screwed. And that was a problem we had all of last season. I think it was a game 6, up to game 6, game 7. We were, in 10th, 11th in the SEC in sacks? It wasn't until we made some adjustment and turned things on later in the season that they started to get sacks. But halfway through the season, we were almost in last place in the SEC in sacks. And it showed on the scoreboard in terms of the defensive outputs, The stats were horrible the first half of the season.
And majority of those sacks.
And that's when you play your lesser competition.
Right. Stephen, what's your take on it?
I agree with Marvin on the defensive line because to me, the offensive line under Eric Wolfer is going to be much better. I mean, I think this offensive line is going to be better than what people give it credit for. Defensive line, it's who is that guy that refuses to be unblocked? You talk about in years past, you had guys like Marcel Darius. You're not going to block me in. You had guys like Terrence Cody. You're not going to neutralize me. You had guys like Deron Payne and Quentin Williams, and recently Christian Barmore. It was the offensive lineman, the quarterback, the running back. You raw meat. I'm a pit bull. I'm coming at your neck. Where is that type of player on this defensive line? Or who has the ability to be that type of player on this defensive line? And it very well could be a freshman like Jaheim Otis. It very could well be one of these younger guys like a Jamil Burroughs. But we have to see who is that guy going to be, because as great as Will Anderson is, and he is, as great as Dallas Turner can be, and he can be, where is that interior push from the guys up front going to come from?
And if you don't have that interior push, these guys on the edge, because the interior is too soft. That interior has to hold that line and get that push and reestablish that line of scrimmage. If they're able to do that on a consistent basis, now you can't double team, because you got to respect everybody across the board. That's the thing about this defense. If you are letting Dallas Turner and Will Anderson get double team, that means the interior D-line is not doing their job.
Yeah, Tat Lawson, there are no Jonathan Allens, Marcel Dariuses, Terrence Cody's, or Deron Paynes on this defense. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And who's going to be that guy?
Let me tell you what they need to do. They need to let me charter the jet, well, the school can pay for it. Let me take that D-line down to that spot I went to in Mexico. I'll bring them back. They'll be a completely different group, boy. In Mexico.
Hold on.
He's going to take him down to the cartel.
Hey, look, y'all. There'll be second quarterbacks and trapping drugs at the same time.
Nah, hey, but you know, they'll realize how hard life really is, and they'll come back a lot hungrier. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't think that happened in the Junction Boys, so this is a completely different experience.
I think we're down there where people working making $5 a day. Come on, let me show you these field hands making $5 a day. I here picking these coca leaves. Oh, never mind. Hey.
Wait, what?
Never mind.
but hey, before Marvin got into that point, I was just gonna continue to echo his point about you gotta have that interior push up front. Like, you gotta collapse the pocket. And that's something that Saban harps on a lot. You gotta collapse the pocket. That quarterback should not be allowed to step up in the pocket to climb the ladder and have a clean place to throw a football. Every time that ball is snapped, that quarterback should feel his air leave his body.
Prime example, Texas A&M, 2 true freshman offensive linemen. They whooped us up front. Come on, man. Whooped us. With 2 true freshmen.
If that don't challenge you as a man, I don't know what does. I mean, how do you let a 17, 8-year-olds come in there and just push you around as if you don't even matter? And these are guys these are veterans.
It's pride, man. It's a thing of pride. Either you have pride to do your job or you don't. And to me, it's like a lack of pride, because you can't say it's a lack of talent when, again, Steven here is harping on Alabama having #1 recruiting class again, which it seems like they've had every year for the last 12 years. So you got players. So what's the problem? You shouldn't say the #1 recruiting class every year for the last 12, 13 years.
That's right.
You are not reloading. So it's a pride issue. It's pride.
Got a question from Emma F.R. Jones, and I want to answer this, but I'm going to let you two answer it first. Who is going to be our toughest game in the SEC West this year? I'll let you start with that, Stephen.
Toughest game in the SEC West. I'm gonna go A&M, but I'm gonna throw a curveball. Arkansas. To go to Fayetteville and have to play Sam Pittman, who's changed that culture. They won 9 games last year. KJ Jefferson's a dual threat quarterback freak. They got the transfer from Oklahoma at wide receiver. That defense has bumper pullback. They pulled portal. The A&M game is going to be the one that everybody talks about, but I would look at Arkansas going to Fayetteville. That's going to be an intriguing ball game in the West.
What you got?
Look at it like this. Last year I was traveling when we played, and weren't we losing at some point in that game? Or they were close to it?
They
So
were always like right on our tail. We never could quite
That was a
pull
close
away.
game because I think I was on my way to Cabo or something. I can't remember, but I know I couldn't watch the game. But when I got to my destination, I was in another country, and I couldn't get to what I needed to get to because everything was coming up on my phone in their language. So it was very frustrating, man. So I had to text somebody to get them to text me, the box score just to see what happened. And from looking at it, it looked like we struggled with Arkansas. It looked like Arkansas gave us all they wanted and could do whatever they want. It looked like we got lucky and pulled it out in the end, but it looked like we struggled with them. So yes, playing them at home is definitely going to be a challenge. But that's not the one that I'm most concerned about. The one that I'm most concerned about is going to be Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin will always have Nick Saban's number. He will always know how to exploit Nick Saban's weaknesses. When you work that closely with somebody and you're that great of an offensive mind, line ways. Now, if you look at last year's Ole Miss game, that was a fluke. Lane went for it on fourth down in some situations where he shouldn't have. He should have punted the ball and tried to flip field position. But because he was going for the get your popcorn ready, he cost his team that game. So I don't think Lane will be that reckless this year when he plays Alabama. And if you look at the previous two times when Alabama played Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, it was some close ones now.
Yeah.
So again, Ole Miss is going to probably be that toughest game in the West.
Before I give my answer.
And that game returns to Oxford, which the last time you were in Oxford, the final score was 63-48.
And before I give my
the thing
answer,
that Lane Kiffin does well, Lane knows how to use motion and adjustments to read the defense and create the matchups that he wants based upon what he sees when they motion and they adjust. If you ever pay attention to Lane when he's calling the game, when that man, the H-back, tight end, slot, whoever he motions, if he sees what he wants, soon as the ball is snapped, you'll see him do this. Lane is a master at reading those defenses, and usually it's a loaded call. If that man goes in motion and that corner or linebacker goes with him, and Lane knows he has man, oh, you better believe it's going to be some kind of pick route backside with a go attached to it, and he's finna go deep on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I give my answer, shout out to William Morris, Big Bill, Super Chat, $5. Thank you, brother. We greatly appreciate you. Always a big help. But Marvin, you stole my answer, and rather than echoing everything you just said, one of my biggest things is I'm looking at our schedule. We go through the gauntlet, Tennessee, at Tennessee, Arkansas, A&M, Texas, all those guys, and then we're on the road to Ole Miss, one of the most dangerous places to play.
I gotta say this. Don't y'all think it's interesting how normally Alabama plays Ole Miss in September? They got Ole Miss in November now. This speaks.
But it's not always been in it's not always been in September. Alabama actually traditionally played Ole Miss in October.
Right.
So it's kind of an eerie place in the schedule, and I don't like it. So if we don't come in there with our A game, it's going to be a long day for Alabama. And it's true. Ole Miss always plays Alabama, their best game. While we're talking about that,
and I'm telling you,
Mr. Bo,
Lane Kiffin is the motion and adjustments, mostly motion, to see what that defense is in to exploit it.
What's going on, Bo?
He just got off a leg day.
He's got off a leg day. Hey, Bo.
Bo, you got to go to your settings, hit your settings, that cogwheel, and go to your audio and change it to iPhone. Hit the cog beside the camera icon. That's your settings wheel. Hit that, and then change it to your phone. Send us some smoke signals. We can't hear you. Send a pigeon, a raven.
A raven.
Raven's fly. Not no dove or nothing, a pigeon. Dog.
Man, he down there probably in Sumter County somewhere. Man, pigeon about best we gonna get, man.
Somebody open the window so we can get his message.
Right.
From his carrier pigeon.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
there we go.
okay.
He hit the,
Yeah.
he hit the
Been
wheel.
on, man. This regular ass thing, man.
Your pigeon finally arrived, huh?
Shit.
He sent a pigeon to tech support with a note.
What it is, I think the USFL money ran out, and his minutes did too.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Justin. Don't do that. See?
Hey, we're just glad to have you here, Bo.
A smart comment, Justin.
But,
We just miss you,
but
brother.
no, but you know, but Bo, if I can get your input on this, I was just talking about how Lane Kiffin is the master at using motion to understand what that defense is in so that he can exploit it to his fullest. And I know you have a lot more input on this than most.
Right. I agree. Yeah. I like Justin said, man, playing them in late November when we usually play them in the third game, like, you know, giving Lane enough time to, you know, adjust and see, you know, it's kind of scary playing them in November. It's just like, you know, playing in November as well. And they have a Alabama game is always so close. Have time enough to pick each other apart. And Lane Kiffin, you know, motion and see what type of defense you in. They cover 7, cover 6, or cover to see what they playing. It's gonna be a shootout down in outside, I would say, especially because.
Well, I can say this, though. November for Ole Miss should be tough if they stick into that traditional schedule and they have LSU in November as well as Mississippi State in November. And they got Alabama in November. That's going to be a tough stretch in November for them. So depending upon where that game will fall within their schedule, it might work to our advantage because I know their schedule is usually pretty top-heavy with those teams in November.
Well, I mean, LSU is going to be before Ole Miss. It's going to be LSU and then Ole Miss. Because LSU is the 5th, and then Ole Miss, I think, is the 12th.
Right, but I'm talking about
on Ole Miss side. Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, because they usually have LSU in November as well, and they usually have Mississippi State in November as well too. So that's why I say it's going to be a tough stretch for them in November, depending upon how those games fall.
They also have Auburn in November.
Right, so they're going to have a pretty crappy November.
It all comes down to also how well does their quarterback position pan out? Is it going to be Luke Altmaier or is it going to be Jackson Dart? What is their development going to look like? Is Zach Evans going to go off like many people think that he's going to? Because he was like the top running back a couple classes ago. So what would that look like? And tight end Trigg, that's another guy. I mean, there's a lot of questions going into that game. But of course, several games will be played between, September and November.
Very true.
I think the one good thing, that Ole Miss could have in the back pocket, and this is something that Lane's not known for, the Rebels do return quality pieces on defense, including A.J. Finley, who led the team last year with 3 picks.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be one to circle. Real quick, Marvin, who on that defense needs to prove it to you the most this year? I know you got a couple besides everybody.
Everybody aside from Will Anderson.
All 11.
And Dallas Turner.
What you mean? Well, minus Will and Dallas, everybody else. The person who has the most to prove, you ask me?
All right, yeah, the most approved.
Number 10.
Henry T.
Number 10. Stop making tackles 7 yards down the field. Make them within 2 yards of the ball or in the backfield. You know, there's this thing called TFLs, toe. It's called tackle for loss. If you don't know what those are, as a middle linebacker, you should kind of specialize in TFLs. Okay? That's your job. TFL, sir. Get some TFLs, Henry.
And some people argue what the problem there was that he had a tough time transitioning to a new system. I can understand if it's a young guy.
Horse crap. Listen, Jeremy Pruitt's system was very similar to Nick Saban's system at Alabama. So, you know, when he first came in, everybody was saying how smooth his transition should be, considering he's coming from Tennessee, where Jeremy ran the defense similar to Nick's. Was that not what everybody was saying when he first came in? He should be a plug-and-play type of player. The problem is you can't make tackles 7 yards down the field. You got to let your nuts drop and get some TFLs, get some contact, put your head in as a middle linebacker, and be physical, okay? If you're not going to be physical, then they have this thing called outside linebacker. You have 2 of those spots. You might want to go try out for one of those. It takes a different character to play middle linebacker because, again, you got to get TFLs, okay? And in order to get TFLs, that means you have to be physical. I mean, you got to beat some guards and some tackles up to get past them, you know? If you ain't prepared to whoop some ass up front, you're never going to get a TFL. You'll have 89 tackles, and all of them will be 7 yards downfield.
Big Bill says the problem was in the middle. If we had 2 big guys up front in the middle, he would have been an All-American.
Not true. I played behind Kenny Smith at times, who did whatever the hell Kenny wanted to do. Kenny all the way out here. I gotta go figure out life. So I gotta whoop Kenny, man. I gotta whoop my man, and I still make a TFL. You know, but at the end of the day, the big guys up front, they do play a role in that middle linebacker's performance. But to a certain extent, there's a level of ownership that middle linebacker has to take. You got to be able to have hands on that guard and that tackle. I mean, you got to be prepared for that every play. If you're not prepared to have hands and you let that guard get up on you, that tackle get up on you, and they push you back 4 or 5 yards before you get off them and actually make a tackle, then every tackle you make is going to be 5 yards downfield. And what does every offensive coordinator want? They want 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. You know what I'm talking about? They want to shorten the field. You know, that's what they want to do. Because now if it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, they open their playbooks up to pretty much anything they want to do because they still got 3rd down to put it in a situation where it's 3rd and short. So he has to do a better job of getting off guards and tackles. If he does that, he'll be better off. But you can't let them just keep getting up on you and then, you know, you doing all this, but you ain't – come on, hand in hands, man. Hey, that's why you do all – hand in hand. Use them. That's why you got 2 of them. They made for something other than eating eggs and bacon in the morning.
And Burt Cafeteria. Stephen M. Smith,
Right.
SPH Huntsville brings up a point here. DJ Dale got stuck getting moved off the line. He isn't quick as Quinnen, so he got to be stronger at point of attack. My question is, how many games does DJ Dale get starting before, if he's not producing, he gets squished out for Burrows or Smith?
1.
I say put whoever in there who's going to do the job, man. Come on, we ain't got
1.
time.
And maybe just a series of that.
What's that, Bo?
He'll get the job done, I think.
Oh, he has full faith in DJ Dale. Okay, I got you. Please explain yourself, sir.
Full faith in all my guys, unlike Marlon.
Oh, wow.
I ain't saying I don't have faith in him. I'm saying show me when it counts, man. Show me when it counts. I don't want to hear nothing about what the news media said. I don't want to hear what the recruiting service said. When I turn on this TV,
Who's in the media?
I'm talking about
You can hype
Stephen
it up.
Smith here. He the one be hyping him up. Listen, when I turn that game,
Hold on. Hold
Well,
on.
listen.
Hold on. Everybody is due one miss. I missed on one player, sir. One.
I will say your track record has been good. Your W's far exceed your L's.
I missed on one. Ben Davis. That was the only miss.
how many times being knocked you out in practice, Bo?
Never.
Never. And Big Bill has a point. Please make sure and come back and praise Toto this year when he kicks ass. I'm not against Toto. I'm just
wholeheartedly will. If he does the job he's supposed to do, I will be his number one fan, his number one cheerleader, because I've done nothing but celebrate all the guys before him, the Dante Hightowers, the Mosleys, the Reuben Fosters, the Reggie Raglins. I have celebrated them all. But the bottom line is, when I watch middle linebackers play, I watch with that same vision that I watch with when I play. And it's like I'm analyzing that game. And I knew like hell, if I was making every tackle 5, 6, 7 yards down the field, Coach Risey was going to have me on that pine. It wouldn't have been no, you're going to keep going out here.
And listen, I'm not against Henry T. Listen, I want the guy that we saw at Tennessee. I want that guy back. You know, I want that intensity. I want the field general. I want a Marvin Constant type mentality like he showed when he was at Tennessee. I don't understand what the drop-off was. Maybe this year it's finally all going to click and we're going to be eating our words. That's what I want, Bill.
I hope so, because y'all know how much money I bet on Alabama. So I ain't out here knocking nobody, because I bet on Alabama religiously.
So Marvin, speaking of that, how many bets are you hedging right now? Just give us a rough estimate of that.
Well, right now, the only one that I got on the table. So the barbershop that I go to, there's several former athletes that go there. So it's always a lot of crap talking. So right now, I got one bet. If Alabama and Georgia make it to the SEC championship game and play each other, I got one for $2,500 on the table for that right now. But that's the only one that I got on the table right now.
Okay.
I gotta go with SPH Huntsville. Jamil Burrows will be the monster this year. Watch.
Like that dude. Really like that dude.
It's either gonna be him or Jaheim Otis for me, to be honest with you. Seeing what both guys did in the spring, and the attitude and the work ethic of Jaheim Otis, basically on his weight loss alone, shows me that he's hungry, and he's here to take that position.
I just want to know. I know Marvin had mentioned this quite a few times, but I would just like to see Marvin out there coaching one of these linebacker positions. I know he can't get down and do no drill or nothing, but I would just like to see Marvin in a straw hat and a whistle, looking at Nick Saban a little bit, giving Nick Saban something. And then Marvin.
No, you don't want me coaching. I did that for a while. And the funny thing about it, so I coached for a few years when my knees actually allowed it. I had several players that I coached at middle linebacker that went Division I. And I'm talking about Vandy. I'm talking about Georgia Tech, Tennessee. I put a lot of middle line because I taught them the fundamentals of the game, and I made them understand one thing first and foremost. If you're going to be over here with me, if you're not going to be physical, you might want to go to another position, because if you're not going to be physical, I'm not going to play you. And I taught them how to use that hat and hands technique to separate from guards and tackles early on in high school, and they mastered that technique. I literally spent 30 minutes a day at the beginning of every practice working hat and hands just to get them used to using them to be able to get off those guard and tackles. So when they went to college, it was nothing for them, because I prepared them in high school for everything that they were going to see.
Tat Lawson brings up a very good point. Speaking of middle linebackers, why isn't Keith McCants mentioned amongst the greats? Excellent point. I don't know why a good question. He gets passed over in conversations, because other than Derek Thomas, that man did things no one else was doing, and he should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, Keith was nice.
Keith was very nice. I feel like because of the fact he played in the same era as Thomas and Cornelius Bennett, people kind of skip over him.
Got a question here from Matthew Cherry. What do y'all think of how Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to do?
Better do better than he did against Auburn in this SEC championship game. I tell you that. National championship.
Pretty good game against Auburn. And I just think that the national championship game, that was just being young. But I fully expect a different player come September.
I'll say this. Body is better. What I want to see from Kool-Aid is the speed there. because you got to run with these receivers. I mean, you got to run with them. You got to hedge them off. So is Kool-Aid speed there? The strength is there, but is the speed there?
And the thing that he needs to understand, college football, the difference between college football and high school, when you get all this motion, all this rah-rah, you got to trust your eyes. Don't fall for the okie doke. And you got to understand, every receiver that you're going to cover is probably going to be fast. So if you don't trust your eyes and your reads from what you studied, you take one false look, you look back at that quarterback, it's over. It's over. So, you got to trust what you've been coached to do and apply it.
RMF Tide, he in regards to Henry T, he looked real good at Tennessee because he was getting them McDonald's bags.
He was getting them Happy Meals. Baby.
Marvin was getting those Jack's bags.
Man, I told you back then it was called shh money. It wasn't
That's it. SBH Huntsville. Kyrie Jackson played better in the Cincinnati game. And that's another guy I think is going to have a breakout season.
Now.
He came in a crazy situation, was raw. And now that he has some experience under his belt, I think this kid's about to go off.
I'm going to say this. In the national championship game, Kyrie Jackson was in perfect position twice. And just, unfortunately, the balls from Stetson Bennett were just placed better. But Kyrie Jackson was in position twice. And the latter part of last season, Jackson started to come on. Like he started to play 6'3". That's a long corner at 6'3". Bama's never had no 6'3" corner. So I really like Kyrie Jackson.
Well, guys, we're getting towards the end of our show. We've actually gone over. So before we go out,
6'3" corner.
What's that?
Drake Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, Drake Kirkpatrick. Absolutely.
Now was he 6'3" Bo? Now was Dre 6'3" Bo? Was Dre 6'2" and like one half?
He's on his tiptoes.
Almost
man.
6'4" to be for
Dre
two
a big
now.
boy now.
We got some differing opinions here. SPH Huntsville says Dre was 6'2".
Yeah, he was a
Dre
big
was
boy for a corner though.
Me. Way taller than me.
You know what? You know what? His son is on Twitter. Let me go message Dre Jr. See how tall Dre is.
Before I start to close up shop, Marvin, what is going on with 40 Plus Strong? What's up next for you? And what cartel do we need to know about in Mexico?
Hey, man. I can't tell you all my secrets of who I be hanging out with in Mexico, man. You know what I'm saying? But I promise you this: if you go to my Instagram, Constant45, and scroll back, you will see those tigers that I'm talking about in that cage when we pulled up. And I was like, "Whoa, where are we?" It was crazy experience. Hey, that was one of the best times of my life, though.
Man, you go out of town.
You said what?
He's talking about how
I said
you
go
hop
out of
in the
town.
globe all the time.
Oh yeah, man. You got to stay gone, man. Listen, I got one go round. When it's over, it's over. So I plan on seeing every inch of this earth before I get out of here.
So how do they find your Instagram to see these tigers, or do they just need to go see the movie The Hangover? Because that essentially mirrors each other.
Constant45. That's it. I'm on IG. You'll find it there. And you scroll down and you'll see them tigers, man, in that bow. Man, I couldn't believe it, man. Drive and park right beside them, and we had no clue. And the tigers never said a word. They never said anything. I'm like, man, we could have been tiger food. Anybody want to tell us something?
They gangster like that. They don't got
They
say
gangster like that.
They ain't
Steven,
make no noise.
speaking of gangster, man, what you got going on for In My Own Words tomorrow night, and how do folks find you on social media?
More recruiting stuff happening. Just getting these folks prepared for camp because tomorrow's Wednesday. So the players report to the stadium because Saban's got his Knicks Kids thing going on. So I will be there. tomorrow. So they can find me touchdownalabama.com, where we talk about the Tide, touchdownalabama.com. But tomorrow, and in my own words, just all recruiting stuff there.
That's what's up, man. Ain't nobody do it like we do, especially in the summer months. All right, folks. Folks, we do apologize. Jamar was not able to make it. He has something unfortunate come up, but we are going to reschedule that. So stay tuned as far as that update goes. And get ready, as we have a guest list coming up these next few weeks as football season quickly approaches. We'll have people like Walter Lewis and also Brody Kroll waiting in the wings. And as soon as Anthony Bear Bryant gets over COVID, he's going to be here to tell us about how he's not the one who got y'all in trouble for missing practice, Marvin.
We're going fishing? Oh, he was just
going fishing.
He was culpable.
But anyway, guys, great night. Roll Tide.
Hey,
Roll Tide.